Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So, today's topic is mindset, and the title is Motivate from Ahead. So, what this is in regards to is motivating ourselves from looking into the future rather than looking into the past. So, too often when people are kind of struggling, which is typically why we want motivation, it's either we want to start something that we've never done before, or we've done in the past, but we kind of, took a break from or quote unquote failed at, and we want to try it again. Or we're kind of in the mix of everything, and maybe it's not going well, maybe we're stalling out, maybe we're losing enthusiasm, so we want to motivate ourselves to get back on track, or in the first scenario, to motivate ourselves to actually start. So, typically in those moments of motivation, we're going to have a likelihood of reflecting on the past. And if you've tried something before in life and failed, the past experiences may not always be positive motivators. So we'll look in the past and say, I'd like to do this, but I always end up blah, 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 blah. So we always start kind of naming the reasons why we failed in the past and stating that as if it will be the reason we're going to fail in the future. So too often when we motivate, we get like kind of stuck in that trap, that mindset trap of looking to our past experiences. So today what we want to talk about is motivating from ahead, motivating from the future, motivating from what you will do to be successful, motivating from maybe who you want to be, like what they would do. So not who you were before. Okay? So one of the first ways to kind of get ourselves motivated from ahead, and again, this kind of is in reference to looking to the future for motivation, is to start setting goals. So we have a podcast in the past, podcast 124, titled Setting Smart Goals. And what that means is setting goals that are specific, they're measurable, they're kind of applicable to what you want to achieve. So what will your like daily goal actually lead where you want it to go? So I think that's actually relatable. So A is achievable. Is it even possible? Okay, what you want to achieve. R, I think, is relatable. And then T is time. So in the fact that is it measurable in time? So if I just say, oh, I eventually want to do this, no, you won't. Or someday I'll do that, no, you won't. Or, in next month, no, you won't. So if you always say, I'll wait till things get better, there is no better. Whatever you're doing right now is what you got right now, okay? So use what you got. Even if it's kind of shitty, if that's where you are, guess what? That's where you are. So if you sit around and wait for things in life, very rarely do really excellent, amazing, wonderful things come to those who wait. It comes to those who prepare and do. Okay? So check out podcast 124 for more information about setting goals. But you want to set goals, okay? Like podcast 124 will let you know if they're a good goal. Okay? So definitely go check that out. But once you understand how to set good goals, you want to set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and I actually like tri-monthly. So that's every 3 months. So daily goals for me, for example, is I have fitness and health related goals that are every day. I have business related goals that are every day. And I actually have relationship goals that are every day. And I even have personal financial goals every day. So I'm an annoying human being who sets a bunch of goals all the time. But what I love about it is if you aim small, you miss small. So if I pay attention to every single day, I'll never lose a week. If you pay attention to every single week, you'll never lose a month. So the smaller you aim, the more noticeable small things become. And the more you manage the small things, you'll automatically take care of the big things. So a lot of times people think of big goals. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to increase my bench 100 pounds. I want to blah, 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 whatever it is. They think of big things. Well, the only way to get to the big thing is by taking small things repeatedly, consistently over time. So instead of looking at that big thing, look at the small things. Look at what you can do this moment. So I've actually broken daily goals down into parts of the day. So where I'll chunk off times, for certain goals, I'll have before 9 a.m. I want to do this. Before 12, I want to do this. Before 3 p.m., I want to do this. Before 6 p.m., I want to do this. So I've done that before, and it's been extremely successful. Now, the more precise you get, there does become an increased degree of pressure to meet those goals. So you have to find a type of pressure that is challenging and motivating to you in a positive motivator. If you have a type of pressure that just crushes you, then back that off. Now that's individual per person, that's individual per focus of goal. So I may be able to handle greater pressure in, say, financial things than I can in relationship things or vice versa. And it's also different per time of the season or season of the month, season of your life that you're in. So if you have a lot of stresses going on, you may have to back off the tightness of some goals. And instead of doing it like daily, say, hey, you know what, if I can just get this done per week, that would be amazing. So for example, when I first owned the gym, I was working 50 hours in client face-to-face training a week. I was then writing all of their nutrition and training programs, which took a shitload of time. I then had to do the cleaning of the gym. I had to do the maintenance of the gym. I had to do advertising, everything, anything whatsoever. Now, it's not a woe is me story. Anybody who opens their own business, that's what they got to do, okay? So, but it's very, very time demanding. So I had to understand that I had to set the priorities of what I expected to get done to be as realistic as possible. So for example, if I vacuumed the carpet of my apartment once a month, that was amazing to me. Now, in fairness, I was never there, so it couldn't have gotten that dirty. But instead of trying to clean, vacuum the carpets every single week, I had to back it off to maybe once a month, just see if I could get that done. Now, all the women out there are cringing. All the guys are like, oh my God, you'd actually do that every month? It was setting goals that were realistic. So I remember I just told a client this last night. It was a story that's ridiculous, but somewhat applies. I went home one night and it was 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I had to get up the next day at 6 to get up for my client. And I remember I came home and there was just a pool of water in my kitchen. So the kitchen of my apartment was flooded. And I looked and it wasn't the dishwasher. I looked and here it was my washer. So my clothes washer. Here it had overfilled and just kept pouring water out. So I got rid of the water, kind of figured out what was going on with the mechanism. But the problem was the washer wouldn't spin. So it would fill itself with water, it would drain itself with water, but it wouldn't spin the thing. Well, I didn't have time to go out and get a new washer because I think this happened earlier in the week, like a Monday or Tuesday. And then I had a whole bunch of stuff going on. I think I even had a client competing the following weekend. So for 2 weeks, I would just stir my clothes in the washer myself. So I would fill it with water, put in the detergent. I would time myself for 10 minutes, and about every minute I would rotate from arm to arm and just swirl the clothes around myself. Yes, feel free to laugh. Feel free to feel grossed out. No one told me I stunk for those 2 weeks, so that I either have amazingly wonderful good friends, or somehow maybe stirring it around myself worked. But yeah, so for 2 weeks, I did my own laundry manually, stirring it around in the washer. And man, I'll tell you what, that was one hell of a shoulder workout. Good Lord. But I did that because the priorities. I wanted to build a business. I was not going to call off clients the next day to go get some dumbass clothes washer when I need to make money, I need to pay bills. So at that time, I had zero leeway financially. None. Zilch. Yeah. So my entertainment budget at the time was $5 a month. Okay. What that covered was a Redbox movie rental, one every weekend, because there was a little bit of change over the $1. So that's how it added up to $5. So my entertainment budget for a month was $5. That's how I was keeping myself somewhat sane. Is I would just keep thinking, man, on Saturday afternoon I'm going to rent a movie. I'm going to get to lay on the couch and just relax. Usually I'd watch about 5 minutes of that movie and pass the hell out. But that's what we got to do, is we got to set goals. And in order to set goals that don't create too much pressure, we have to understand the season of life we're in. So if setting daily goals motivates you and helps keep you on track, doesn't mean it's easy. Okay, I'm not saying set easy goals. I'm saying set ones that challenge you and motivate you positively, but not ones that create a crushing, defeating pressure every day. So you have to find that balance. So check out 124, okay? Podcast 124, Setting Smart Goals. And if you have any extra questions on top of setting goals, email us at brutalirongym@gmail.com. Okay, so setting goals properly and then setting them for the right expectations and the right frequency and stuff is a huge component to why people are not successful, because they just kind of go into it and say, "I'll figure it out as I go." Nah, there's some benefit to just not having paralysis by analysis, meaning you don't overanalyze and never start. You do have to eventually start, but also having some kind of plan when you start is a good idea. Okay, so once you kind of set goals, that'll tell you what you want to do in the future to be successful. So again, we're motivating from ahead. The next thing we look at is trying to set up steps to address mistakes ahead of time. So what has caused you to fail your goals in the past? So if the last time you did, say, a diet, to lose weight or to, say, build muscle or to increase your performance, okay, your peak performance quality, so whatever the diet was for, maybe you wanted to eat very intentionally for a specific goal. That doesn't mean always fat loss, okay? So, but we were eating very intentionally for a specific goal. And in the past, you say to yourself, you know what? Like, I just couldn't have the right foods available all the time, so I started making bad choices and I kind of fell off the wagon. Well, what are you going to do this time? How are you prepared for that? If you know that was a problem in the past and you don't address it, and you just start a diet again, guess what? That's coming right back. It is overwhelmingly amazing to see how often people do that, where they'll start the exact same goal, run into the exact same problem, and somehow they're surprised. They're like, oh man, I'm failing this again. No shit. You didn't do anything to address why you failed it last time. If I ran into a brick wall, so if I was running, okay, and I see a brick wall coming up and I'm like, oh, that can't possibly be there. That must be fake, da-da-da-da-da, and I run smack into a brick wall. I'm not going to get up, walk back 100 feet, and take off running again. Okay, I'm going to look for a door. I'm going to look for a way around it. I might try to climb it this time, but why in the hell would I run into the wall again? So if you already know that there are things that caused you to fail in the past, motivate from ahead, meaning be prepared ahead of time. What will you do in the future when that thing comes up again? So if it's meal prep, frickin' read some books, look online. Ask dietitian trainers, ask other people in the gym, see what other people do to have their food prepared ahead of time. So one of the best things you can do is just eat more convenient foods, for the love of God. So I don't know why people think they have to eat certain type of food all the time. So we talk about in podcast 41, titled Diet Right, What Matters Most. And only the fourth most important component, okay, is whether something's white or wheat, whether something's organic or not. Calories is more important. Protein content is most important. Meal timing is more important. Then it matters whether you have like sweet potato versus white potato, or quinoa, which is disgusting. I don't know why people eat that crap, or kale. Oh God, that's even worse. So there's no reason you have to focus on that stuff. So if you failed in the past, maybe because, we talk about food convenience, so we'll stick on that. So I don't get too off track here. So, for example, I've had people fail diets in the past because they'll get frustrated, and this is actually true, is they'll get frustrated because they'll buy vegetables, but they won't use them all in time and they go bad. And then they're like, you know what, I'm just wasting a ton of money. I'm not going to do this diet because it's just a complete waste of money. Well, who the hell said you need to eat vegetables that were fresh? Okay? So you can get frozen vegetables. You can get vegetables that don't like go bad in one day. Okay? So how about avocados? So they go from not ripe to absolutely disgusting within the span of, I think, about 90 seconds. Okay? So avocados are one of the most annoying foods on the planet because it doesn't taste good. It tastes great, then it's brown. Immediately. That's how quick it goes. So you don't have to have avocados. So if avocados are a pain in the ass, don't eat avocados. No one said you have to have avocados. There's so many other good healthy forms of fats. Okay, so that's what we have to think of is, first of all, is what you're worried about even matter? That might be a good thing to look at. So podcast 41 would actually help you towards that goal, okay? So go listen to podcast 41 and find out if what you're worried about matters. Then look ahead of time and look in the future and say, okay, if I run into that problem again, what am I going to do now? Okay, so then you can think about addressing, like finding someone who maybe knows some information that you haven't looked up or aren't aware of yet. Okay, so if you've never worked with a nutritionist, it might be a good idea. If you've failed 3, 4, 5 diets, maybe go get some education from somebody who does it for a living. So if I tried to fix my own car and it didn't work 3, 4, 5 times in a row, I'm probably going to take my car to a mechanic, right? So go take it to somebody who knows about nutrition. Okay, so we can also, if you failed in the past due to accountability, so, and just kind of like didn't seem like it really mattered much, you kind of faded away, we'll set up the future by having a supportive friend or accountability partner, or tell some people your goals. Hell, put it online. Everybody puts shit online nowadays. Everybody puts everything they do on Instagram. Okay, I'm glad you do, so I'm not being a total jerk. But people put everything, good or bad, people put everything on social media nowadays. So if you start a goal, throw it up on social media. Have a sense of accountability. Have some people checking in on you, asking how you're doing. That does help. Okay, that can motivate you to be successful in the future. Okay, so we want to figure out how to address past mistakes ahead of time, and then also how to face new challenges. So if something new comes in, what's our plan of attack? And again, that would be to find somebody who knows more than you do. Have an accountability partner. And also just think, what advice would I give a friend? So when I'm faced with a challenge, if I had a friend who was faced with that exact same challenge, what advice would I give them? So we have to learn how to talk to ourselves, to give ourselves forgiveness, to give ourselves permission to make mistakes but get back on track. We have to treat ourselves with love and kindness the same way that we would treat a friend. Okay? So that's going to be some stuff that'll definitely help motivate you, quote unquote, from ahead. Is finding someone with informational knowledge that can help. Find an accountability partner. And think to yourself, what advice would I give a friend? So if you fail at something and you're going, you big piece of crap, you freaking always mess this up. What the hell is wrong with you? Would you ever say that to a friend? If your friend came and said, hey, I messed up my diet today, would you go, you big piece of crap, what the hell is wrong? Probably not, otherwise they wouldn't be your friend for very long, okay? So you have to talk to yourself as if you would talk to a friend. You would be realistic with a friend, but you would be positively motivating. You would say something like, don't give up, man. You can do this. Just keep looking. Just keep figuring it out. I'll help you with this. You would be positive. So be positive for yourself, okay? And then when in the moment of a mistake, that's another tip. So is being positive for yourself. There's also a good book I like titled How to Be an Imperfectionist by Stephen Guise, Guise, I believe is his last name. So that book tells you it's okay to make small mistakes. It's okay to do things kind of good enough for a while before you worry about ever being perfect. So you want to focus on progress, not perfection. How can you get slightly better, not how can you be perfect? No one is freaking perfect. So don't set that standard on yourself. Okay? So read that book. I promise it'll be worth the investment. I promise. Okay? So you also can ask yourself by looking ahead to who you want to be. So when you are at the time of a mistake, you find yourself in the middle of a struggle. Don't think about what you used to do. Don't look back. Instead, look ahead and say, who do I want to become? And what would that person do when in this moment? Chances are who you want to become wouldn't give up on the first opportunity to do so. When faced with the first challenge, they wouldn't just back away, run away. They'd probably double down their efforts, figure shit out, and they would push ahead. So the person you want to be is going to say, frickin' bring it, life. I don't give a shit what you throw at me. I'm going to be successful. That's the attitude we need to have. If you look in the past and say, I always mess up, that's the old you. That ain't you anymore. Become a new you. Do what the new you would do. Okay? So think about what you would want to do if you were who you wanted to be. Don't think of who you used to be. You are no longer that person. Okay? So you need to motivate from positivity. Realistic. Okay, you can't blow smoke up your own butt. You have to be realistic about what you're doing. And by setting those mini goals we talked about, like daily, weekly, monthly, and tri-monthly, you'll see how well you're doing. I mean, if you're bombing on the goals and you just kind of give yourself free pass all the time, bullshit. Okay, tighten down. Figure out what you're messing up. Figure out how to correct it. And then freaking get to correcting it. So be realistic in what's happening. But be positive in the sense that you believe that you can correct it. Believe in yourself to become the better person. And you will. Okay? So believe in yourself. Motivate from positivity. Motivate from what you will do. How will you address this issue? Not has this issue hurt you in the past. We don't care anymore about that. Okay? So if we learned our lesson of, wait, hey, that did happen in the past, but that ain't me anymore. I'm going to do new things because I want to be a new person. So motivate from what you will do. So that's a tip for motivating. Okay, for motivating yourself is to motivate from ahead. Motivate from what you will do, what you want to do. Okay, look into the future of how great you can be and do what that person would do. Okay, so if you need help setting goals, like we said, check out podcast 124 titled Setting Smart Goals. If you want to figure out, like in a diet, like or what you're worried about even worth worrying about, we talked about checking out podcast 41 titled Diet Right, What Matters Most. And we talked about that book, How to Be an Imperfectionist by Stephen Guise. So check out those resources, and they're going to give you some extra help towards setting a positive mindset, setting up realistic expectations, and allowing you to better achieve the goals that you want to achieve in life. Okay? So if you need any help, and there's anything we can help you with, please email us at brutalirongym@gmail.com. I sincerely appreciate you listening to the podcast, and I want to make sure that you get the help that you need. So if there's anything that you need help with extra on top of the podcast, reach out to us, and we promise we'll help. Okay? So again, the email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. Cool. If you like the podcast, please share it with family and friends. The more people we help, the happier the world will be. Also, if you like this information, you can find more from us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Brutal Iron Gym. And if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. The podcast is for you. So we want to know what you want to learn about. You can tell us at our email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. As always, I hope this was helpful. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.